Hey, welcome back to Stark Reality. Hey, I got the Jeep open. It's really cold out today, windy, but the sun's out, so a good time to get it done. So I drove my Jeep to work the other day. I do once a week or so just to keep driving it, and couldn't get it started when I went to leave. So got it home, towed it home, and I figured out what the problem was. Why it wouldn't start. Show you. All right, so. My battery is not very old, and I thought, well, maybe the alternator wasn't running quite right. And on my drive-in, I finally figured out this is just loose enough. You can see it's got a crack right there, and these are certainly worn. I've got all the accessories tied on, that kind of thing. So, time to replace the connectors. So I got some new like the military style ones, which means you do have to cut this off right here. There's plenty of cable. Thought about getting more cable, but these are fine. All right, so disconnected them, just clipped these. My new bolt cutters went through those. It's like no problem whatsoever. These aren't the heaviest things in the world, but this was perfect. A lot easier than using a pair of hand clips. So I'll get that one off over there. We strip these back, and we'll get them all. Then we'll have to crimp them on, and I'll show you that in a second. All right. So here are the little crimp-on adapters to put on the end of the cables, and I've done these two. And it was interesting to buy a set of cables. It's about 20 bucks for one red, one black, and obviously you need four. So it's like, well, that's 40 bucks in cables. Now, obviously they would be higher quality, but that's never been an issue. So instead, I bought a crimping tool for 20 bucks. So that was $23, something like that. So that you can put these on. This is what they're intended to be, is crimped. And then they've got the little heat shrinks. So this is one of the crimped ones. This was a smaller cable. This was like a 4. This one's a little bit larger. So got those crimped on, and then they'll go on either side of the connector here. So now I got to do these two, strip them back about yay far, not quite an inch, and this one's kind of small, and then we'll crimp those on. All right, so I got them all crimped on. That crimper's great because it's got all the different sizes on it. And so you just change the little dial, and you can crimp from the large. This was like a 4, and this was a 6. This was a 4, and then this one was an 8. So I could go all the way down to an 8. Now I crimped it twice. So it's not the prettiest thing in the world, but it clamped down. So now I'm putting the heat shrinks on and get them all sealed up with the heat gun, and then we'll be ready to slap them on there. All right, so I pulled off, here's my old negative terminal, and it's cracked right there. That's kind of a normal thing for these. And one of the things most people may not realize is that these terminals are not the same sizes. This one's larger and that one's smaller. And but they make these generic ones all the same size. The nice thing about these military style ones, which had this big, you're mounting everything to this bolt, and then this one tightens, but they are specific to the size. So this is the positive, so it's the right size for the positive, and this is the right size for the negative. So these are going to be a little heavier duty, and obviously the connections are just going to be a lot easier when you're using a separate bolt rather than tying everything into the same bolt on this one. So so it was definitely time to get rid of these things. So I'll make all my connections to this negative, which I've got my 2 car negatives, my negative for the winch, and these are for my lights. So we'll get those hooked up, and then we'll go move over to the positives. All right, so it took a little finagling and fiddling and so on and so forth to get all this to fit, but it certainly fits better than it did. This is probably the biggest challenge. I guess you could attach a cable, but this has these little resistors or whatever they are. I don't know what they are. For the winch, and so that made it a little tough to get it on there, but right angle, got it on there nice and stiff. I can't put the little red boot on. I was able to get the black boot on this one, but with all the heavy cables, it did stretch it. I kind of heated it up, and so it would stretch out. Now it's cooled back down, and that'll cover it up nicely, which I think will be all right. So at least one side covered is good, but these are on much more secure. And I don't want to mess with that one too much because I just got it on there, but should be good now. Now I won't have this random thing won't start problem for those old ones, which were certainly cracked and no good anymore. I mean, that was pretty worn out and used, huh? So look at that big crack on that one that was on the positive terminal. So that's, you know, why it wasn't working. So real pleased. This should be, shouldn't take too long. And even with kind of taking it apart and putting it back together again, figuring out these cables, easy enough to rework them with these bolts. So very pleased. So another project down. Jeep should be a little more reliable, I guess, at this point, and not a bad upgrade. These things are these connectors, these military style ones that they call them. They were a little on the expensive side in comparison to the little generic ones. These were like 20 bucks, and you know, you can get the little DAT ones you just screw in without the little clips and stuff, without the crimps, for I don't know, $8 or $9. So this is a little more expensive, but I think this is going to be way more secure in the long run. So happy about that. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.